Ravens flock. The flock rundown is the place to be. My man Ryan has been a lifelong Ravens fan since he was born. So I'm telling you now, it's about to go down. The podcast, the flock rundown. Ravens, baby. Nothing gets better than waking up and wondering how high we can fly. Tune in.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.
Appreciate you, Ray. What's up, Ravens fans? My name is Ryan, and welcome back to another episode of the Flock Rundown. So everybody's picking the Bengals, huh? A lot of the media and analysts on TV and the vast majority of everyone I see online is picking the Bengals. Vegas has them as 3-point favorites. So the Ravens are underdogs heading into this matchup, and I wouldn't want it any other way.
I really don't care to be hyped up or, people just displaying like we on top of the league or anything like that. I'd rather be the underdog because we always got something to prove and we always got a chip on our shoulder to go out there and win a game.
I echo Lamar's thoughts. I love being the underdog. I looked around the internet. I can't find us in anybody's top 5 power rankings. Everyone's picking the Bengals to rebound at home. Everyone's predicting Joe Burrow to have a huge rebound game against our secondary. I think he can have a good game. I know our secondary is depleted. I definitely am not arguing that point that Joe Burrow is going to look a lot better than last week. And I'll have a detailed game preview episode tomorrow where we're diving into both sides of the ball and matchups for both teams and things like that. And we'll take a look even deeper at what we're facing here and where we might be able to exploit them and where they might be able to take advantage of us. But regardless, everybody's picking the Bengals. And that's a perfect spot to be in. You never want to be the favorite, especially early in the season. You never want to be the hyped up team. And in the offseason, we were having some hype, and now it seems like everything's quiet. We had some injuries. The offense didn't look as explosive as predicted, which I didn't really expect it to in week 1. Like I said, these first few weeks for us is kind of like our preseason, which sucks. It's not ideal. You don't want the regular season to be your preseason, but that's just how it is. We haven't played. That was Lamar's first game with this offense, and everyone's first game with this offense. And it's only going to get better. There was a lot of timing issues in the pass game. There was a lot of pass protection breakdowns and confusions with the offensive line. And I just imagine that they looked at that film and they're going to improve from last week. I'm not saying it's going to be perfect and it's not going to be peak Baltimore Ravens offense. That'll probably happen in like week 8, or something like that. Even the 2019 season, we weren't dominant until really like that Seattle game on. If you remember the 2019 season, that Seattle game, the 4th down going for it, and that was a huge win in Seattle. Seattle was a really good team at that point, and then we just rolled the rest of the season. But I'm just saying, we weren't dominant in the first half of the year. There were some growing pains. We had a dominant week 1 against the Dolphins that year, but there were some growing pains. I'm just not surprised that the offense in that Houston Texans game didn't come out firing. And in the second half, they got tremendously better than the first half. So I'm expecting another leap in this week against the Bengals. And we're going to have to score some points, obviously. I mean, I know Joe Burrow is going to play better than last week. We're not going to completely shut them down. But I really think we can beat them. And I saw a lot of players on both sides say, we know them and they know us. And that's traditional talk in a division matchup, right? Like, we just played the Bengals back-to-back weeks last year to end our season. And we are very familiar with the Bengals. They haven't changed a whole lot, but we have. Our offense is completely different. There's no way that they know us like they think they do. They've been playing us at the end of last year without Lamar Jackson both games. How do you know us? How do you know this team inside and out? Maybe the defense a little bit, yeah. But we know them, they know us talk only applies to one side, in my opinion, right now. This is not a normal division matchup where you do know the ins and outs. Maybe later in the year when we play them Thursday night in Baltimore, that may apply a little bit more because we'll have 10 weeks of film on our offense and you'll be able to plan a little bit more, and they had already played us this week. So I understand that later in the season. But week 2, you think you know this Baltimore Ravens offense inside and out? You think you're familiar with all these new weapons? You think you can just stop Zay Flowers? It's real easy. I don't think they know us. I don't think they know this Baltimore Ravens offense. I think we're going to go in there and be able to move the ball. Is it going to be mistake-free all game long and have no growing pains again? No. Like I said earlier, it's not going to be peak Ravens offense. I'm not expecting them to be in full form in week 2 of a brand new offense, week 2 of Lamar coming back after a year removed. So I just don't think that applies, and I think that that's a huge edge. Traditionally, yes, we know everybody in the AFC North and how they play and their schemes. They know us. Not a surprise. But this Baltimore Ravens offense, way different. Way different skill sets, weapons. We're adding Mark Andrews back, I think, which I think is going to help a ton. And I say I think just because he's still limited in practice, so we'll see. But I would guess, if I'm a betting man, that we're going to see Mark Andrews on Sunday. Just because he was kind of close last week. He was practicing all last week. He's practicing again. I think we see Mark Andrews. We're not going to see Marlon Humphrey most likely. He's not practicing unless he shows up at practice today. As I'm filming this, practice hasn't started yet, so we'll defer to the injury report as Harbaugh keeps doing. Yesterday he's like, we'll defer to the injury report for Marcus Williams. DNP. I'm like, yeah, obviously, right? Like, we knew Marcus Williams wasn't practicing. The injury report's not giving us any type of update on how long Marcus Williams might be out. So I'm guessing they don't know either. He's just still talking to doctors and debating if he should get surgery or not. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know how long Marcus Williams is going to be out, but I know he's not going to be back anytime soon. Ronnie Stanley, Tyler Linderbaum not practicing. They're not going to play this week. Mark Andrews, though, should, and that's huge, And I know Stanley and Linderbaum are a huge loss as well. And then obviously J.K. Dobbins is out for the season. Stanley and Linderbaum are huge losses, but the fact that we can prepare for it, you know what I mean? Makari knows he's starting left tackle. Falele can fill in if something goes wrong there. And then Sam Mustipher all week is getting first-team reps and knows he's the starting center this week. So we're preparing, and if there's a weakness that maybe Todd Monken's seeing in practice, then we're going to use a lot of Ricard to come help again like we did last week. We'll have check down routes and safety nets basically for Lamar to get the ball out of his hands quick if they are blitzing a lot and trying to put pressure on us, because that seems to be the common theme of teams that we face. They think they can just blitz us like crazy, but if we pick that blitz up, we're going to have some open guys downfield, and I just trust that we can start having some big plays, or just keep quickly getting the ball in Zay Flowers' hands and let him run after the catch. I mean, we have playmakers. That's why I'm saying Cincinnati Bengals have never played the Ravens with Zay Flowers, Odell, Rashad Bateman, and the last few times they played us, we haven't had Lamar Jackson. You're not used to this offense. You don't know us. I'll make my official score predictions tomorrow in the preview episode, but if you haven't guessed from this episode so far, I'm high on Baltimore this week. I think that we are flying under the radar. I know that they can study our film from last week, but we're still rolling this offense out. That is not the complete offense that we just showed against the Texans. There's probably so many plays that we didn't even run. The entire pass offense is going to get comfortable. I already believe in the run offense. We're running a lot of the same concepts we've always ran. These running backs are very familiar. This offensive line is very familiar with the blocking scheme, and the running backs know where these holes are going to be, and we have talented backs as well. It's the timing and the execution of the pass game that has to improve, but that's going to improve week after week. And sure, are we going to have to score more points against the Bengals because they're probably going to be able to move the ball a little bit on our secondary? Yeah, we're definitely going to have to put up some points. But once again, this Bengals defense is very vulnerable, and they don't know our offense. They just don't. They've never played it. They've never faced these weapons. So we know them. They know us. Does not apply to week 2 right now. And I think our defense might play better than we think. I think it'll be ready. Did you watch that Wired last night? Roquan Smith giving me Ray Lewis vibes for real. Like, I've said that briefly and vaguely before and kind of felt that here and there. But, Ray Lewis is such a hard person to compare people to. And I'm not saying Roquan Smith is Ray Lewis. I think Ray Lewis has left a unreachable legacy in Baltimore. But man, on the field, very similar. The way they're flying around to the ball, just the elite competitiveness, the elite leadership. Roquan's communicating constantly to the entire defense and motivating guys to lock in. It was impressive, man. If you haven't watched that Ravens Wire, definitely go check that out. They had Roquan mic'd up, and it's kind of mind-blowing. I mean, this dude's a real deal, and there's no way that the rest of the defense as a unit doesn't perform better based off that leadership and that communication. I mean, he's out there holding guys accountable for real. I saw a clip from Marlon Humphrey's new podcast where he was saying that at halftime, someone came in the locker room and was like, man, CJ Stroud's pretty slippery. And Roquan's like, he ain't slippery, just tackle him. And then he goes out there and gets a sack. And he's just playing with this like hair on fire, balls to the wall, give it everything you got, every single play, like my life depends on it. And then talking about it too, you know what I mean? Letting the other team know, like, this is why they paid me. And I don't know, I was just fired up, man. I was ready to go suit up and play, you know? Like, Roquan's a real deal. That has a ripple effect to the entire team, to the entire defense especially. There's no way that we're not out there playing a little harder, playing a little more locked in, because you got a guy like that going so hard next to you. Now I know why PQ's taking his game to another level. You know what I mean? Sitting next to Roquan, how do you not play better? How does the secondary not play better when you're playing with a guy like that? And that's the Ray Lewis effect. We also had Ed Reed in the back end, who was pretty much the same, so having both of those guys was just unreal. But regardless, having guys like that, and I'm putting Roquan in, at least on the field play-wise, he's like a Ray Lewis, man, on the field, seriously. And that effect cannot be measured, but it's so real. I see it. When we traded for Roquan last year, the entire defense got a huge lift, started playing better. The rest of the year, we were a top 10 defense. And I just think even with a banged-up secondary, our defense is going to hold their own. Our defense is playing with fire, and our offense has the potential to be way better than ever before. We have weapons everywhere. Getting Mark Andrews back is just going to expose that even more. So I'll go back to the point of this entire episode. I love that we're underdogs. I love that we're flying under the radar a little bit. People think we're struggling. People think we're too banged up. You know, it's the Bengals opener. The Bengals, they're going to rebound. They've lit us up so many times. They got the Ravens number. They ain't played Lamar, man. They haven't played this offense. This is not who the Bengals have been playing the past few times. Now, do I wish we would go in there full strength like they are? Absolutely. We're missing Marcus Williams and Marlon Humphrey and J.K. Dobbins and Ronnie Stanley and Tyler Linderbaum, and they have no injuries. So, yeah, once again, we're limping in a little bit. But there's some key pieces that we didn't even have last year. We didn't have Lamar Jackson in Week 18 or the playoff game. We didn't have all of these weapons that Lamar has, including Zay Flowers, who is damn near uncoverable in my opinion. And the Bengals think they know us. They're going to be shocked. We're going to be able to move the ball more than they think against a defense that I don't think is that great. I think that the Bengals play well, but they just don't have as much talent as they used to. Their defense used to hold their own quite a bit. I think that their defense is going to take a small step back from last year, and I think the Ravens' offense has taken a huge step up, at least from the offense that this Bengals defense is used to playing. And they don't know us. They do not know us. As much as they want to say they know us, they don't. And I think we're ready to make some noise on Sunday. I can't wait for the game. I'll have a detailed preview episode of the game coming out tomorrow, and I'm going live after the game on Sunday. Hopefully you guys join in for that. I just appreciate you guys supporting this channel more than you know. I appreciate you tuning in to another episode of the Flock Rundown. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and I'll talk to you guys next time.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.